Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a look at the Palkia VSTAR League Battle Deck. I have long been telling you, lovely ladies and gentlemen, that the League Battle Decks are among not just the best Pokemon TCG products now, but among the best Pokemon TCG products that Pokemon have ever made. They are absolutely, flat out, inarguably stunning. The question is, does the Palkia one hold up to the previous levels of awesome? And straight off the bat, I'm going to tell you, yeah, it does. Now, in terms of the kind of headline cards, we knew all of this before. No, we didn't have the set list, that was very sad, etc., etc. But we did have a picture at the front of the box a little while ago, and that showed us that we were getting 3 Palkia V, 2 Palkia V-Star, and 1 Radiant Greninja. We know on these League Battle decks, we basically get ourselves 6 headline cards, so to speak. And straight off the bat, this is good. We've got a 3-2 line of a very playable V-Star. Still a good deck, still sees a bunch of play. Gonna see some play post-rotation. We'll have to wait and see exactly how good it ends up being, but it's going to at least see some play. And that's awesome. Then we've got Radiant Greninja. And look, we love this because it's a very, very good card, which sees play in a whole bunch of decks because it's got that amazing ability to let you discard an energy from your hand and then draw 2 cards. But it's also got a phenomenal attack that lets you discard 2 energy from it to deal 90 to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. It's absolutely amazing. Of course, one of the ways you get that rolling is with Palkia's V-Star Power, which lets you attach free energy from your water energy from your discard to your bench water Pokemon in any way you like, which is clearly a little bit ridiculous. And then it's got the attack Subspace Swell, which does 60 damage plus 20 more for each bench Pokemon in play. That, of course, being both yours and your opponent's. This was, when Astral Radiance came out, which is a set that introduced it, the best deck in the game. Pretty inarguably the best deck in the game. As it is now, it's not as good as it once was, but it could well come back, and it's very good, and this is, frankly, an excellent start. But it keeps going, because once again, what we have here is just a really, really good deck, which is designed to be playable out the box. It is designed to be a very good playable deck without making any changes. So we got a freeliner Bibarel here. Now, of course, when Andre Cabal won the World Championships in his interview, he basically said, hey, if you want to win the World Championships, play Bibarel. It is a phenomenal card. Lets you once during your turn draw until you've got 5 cards in your hand. It's a good draw engine. You'll also notice that this is a deck that is going to survive rotation. That is not a coincidence. So yeah, this is the draw engine. It's very good. We've got ourselves a Manaphy here. Only 1, because you would only generally play 1 in the deck. So obviously you're going to play 1 here. And this is the one that just protects your bench from bench damage from things like, ironically enough, Greninja, because Greninja's kind of annoying. This is a very, very, very good Pokemon line. And then you've got a couple copies of Hisuian Basculin. Now, we don't actually know which Hisuian Basculin this is, but it's blatantly going to be the one from Astral Radiance. Partly because, this seems like a very much an Astral Radiance deck, but also because it's the one that makes sense in this deck. This isn't like the V Battle decks, where you're kind of guessing a little bit as to which of a particular Pokemon it is. We know that this has been made, the deck list, has been made by someone who understands the game. And we know that it's designed to be a good deck, which means it has to be the Hisuian Basculin from Astral Radiance. 0 energy, search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. 0 energy attack, gets your basics, ready to evolve and get going next turn. I feel very confident this is the one, because it's the best one for this deck, so it kind of has to be this one. There are others, I refuse to believe it. Now, one of the cool things you get here is 4 copies and entire playset of Battle VIP Pass. Now, this is one of the things that made the Mew VMAX League Battle deck very, very good. Basically, what Pokemon are doing is tanking the value of this card. This is one that lets you, as long as it's your first turn, and it has to be your first turn, search your deck for any 2 basic Pokemon and whack them onto your bench. It's great. And it sees a huge amount of play. And now I did see a few people claiming that this is going to be harder to get hold of because the Mew V Max League Battle Deck is getting harder to get hold of. At least in the UK, it's proper job readily available just below retail. Very easy to get hold of. Maybe in the US it's a bit harder, but no, don't invest in Battle VIP Pass because there's now a playset in here. It is a card which is in Fusion Strike, which is not a set that sold brilliantly well. Doesn't matter. Playset in here, absolutely brilliant. We've got 3 copies of Boss's Orders Cyrus, which is another phenomenal card. Lets you drag one of your opponent's bench Pokemon into the active. You're going to be playing 2 to 4 copies in like every deck. So having 3 copies in here is absolutely brilliant. You should be playing 3 copies in your deck. There's 3 copies in the deck. And this is why I speak so highly of these products. Because it's made by someone who's gone, right, well, here are the design constraints. And obviously, you know, they have to make some allowances for cost, etc. But inside of that, let's see what we can do. Let's make the best possible deck. We've got 3 copies of Choice Bout that lets you do 30 more damage to Pokemon Vs. Because actually, Choice Bout is a great card that sees a huge amount of play. Lets you do extra damage. You're going to see this. There is a copy of Echoing Horn, a card I am particularly fond of. Lets you take a basic Pokemon from your opponent's discard pile and put it onto the bench. Maybe you're clogging up their bench so they can't bench a Pokemon they want. Maybe you are using this so you can gust it into the active and KO it. Either way, it is still an extremely cool card, and it's played as a one-off, as it often is, but it's a very nice little teching option. We got ourselves a couple copies of Energy Search, and look, Energy Search is not a fancy card, I think it's fair to say. It's an item card that lets you search for a basic energy. It's not particularly good. Unless, of course, you've got a way to search out item cards, which makes this way better. And you do, incidentally, because this deck plays a playset of Irida. Irida is a phenomenal supporter, and if you're playing Palkia, you're going to be playing Irida, obviously. Search your deck for a water Pokemon and an item card and put them into your hand. Well, your entire deck is water Pokemon, so grab whichever one you like. And then you can go and get an item card, and you got a bunch of item cards you can choose. Obviously, if it's your first turn and you're going second, because you can't play a supporter card going first. But if you're going second, you're going to Irida for your Battle VIP Pass. Like almost every time. Unless you've got a great hand that's got all the basics or ways to search them, that's what you're going to go for. Makes perfect sense. But otherwise, you've got a whole heap of choices, one of which is Energy Search, because you can't Irida for an energy, but you can Irida for an Energy Search, which will then get you your energy, which is basically the same thing. We got 2 copies of Hisuian Heavy Ball, lets you grab a basic Pokemon out of your prizes, and basically swap it for Hisuian Heavy Ball. But you've got things like 1 Radiant Greninja, 1 Manaphy. So you're obviously going to want to be grabbing them out. If they're in your prizes, this will do so very nicely. We've got 1 copy of Clara. We only need 1 copy of Clara. Clara's a great one-off. It's that card that lets you put 2 Pokemon and 2 basic energy from your discard pile into your hand. It's great. And I love it. And it sees a huge amount of play. As a one-off, it is phenomenal recovery. So yeah, it's exactly the kind of card that should be played as a one-off here. This isn't designed as a deck to boost up your binder or whatever. This is a deck which is designed to be played with, so 1 copy of Clara is absolutely what you would be going for. Stadium here, we got 2 copies of Lake Acuity. All of your Pokemon that have water or fighting energy attached, and you're only playing water energy here, take 20 less damage from your opponent's Pokemon's attacks. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Because this is going to give you that little bit of extra survivability. You're going to avoid some key KOs, which, you know, and if you get fewer Pokemon KO'd, that is going to lead you to victory. Plus, can we just take a second and acknowledge the artwork from Kato there, which is absolutely stunning. We've got 3 copies of Melanie here. Well, Melanie's a supporter card that lets you attach a water energy from your discard pile and then draw 3 cards. But you'll notice that Palkia is a 2-energy attacker, and Palkia is very much your main attacker here. So you're oftentimes going to need that extra energy so you can get attacking right away. And Melanie comes in and gives you that extra energy. It is a great card, of course, you're going to play it. We've got one copy of Roxanne. Again, Roxanne is a great one-of here. It's your comeback card. If your opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards remaining, you both shove your hand into your deck, you get 6, your opponent gets 2. It's great, but it's not great in the early game, it's great in the mid to late game. You can be winning the game, incidentally, and still play Roxanne, it's just how many prize cards your opponent has taken. So obviously this is going to be a great option in the late game. You don't want to play too many, you play one, job's a good un. We've then got 2 copies of Switch, which is not an exciting card, incidentally. Switch your active with your basic, but it's still a card you're going to need. Everyone's going to need to play a couple copies of Switch in their deck. So no, it's not an exciting card, and I'm not going to pretend for a second that it is, but it is an important card that's going to see a whole bunch of play. So you need a couple in your deck. We've then got 4 copies of Trekking Shoes, and Trekking Shoes is a great card. It adds speed. Simple as that. You look at the top card of your deck and you have 2 choices. You can either put it into your hand, yay, or you can discard it and then draw the next card. But also worth bearing in mind that you've got things like Melanie, which attaches from the discard pile, and Palkia, which attaches from the discard pile. So, yeah, you are definitely going to want some water energy in the discard here and there. So this is going to be a very, very good option. Hopefully draw some cards while getting some water energy in the discard. And then you got 4 copies of Ultra Ball. It's Ultra Ball. Discard 2 cards from your hand, search for any Pokemon. Firstly, yay, I'm searching out Pokemon, that's awesome. But secondly, I get hopefully some water energy in the discard, which is very important. Is this on the same level as the Mew VMAX League Battle deck? Potentially not quite. But the Mew VMAX League Battle deck is literally 16 cards away, about a quarter of the deck list. 15 would be exactly a quarter, of a deck that got top 8 at Worlds. This is a phenomenal deck, like a proper job phenomenal deck. And sure, the 3-2 Palkia line and the Radiant Greninja is good, but it's also all of the staple trainer cards, and this is absolutely chock full of staple trainer cards, which are absolutely brilliant. If you are getting into competitive Pokemon, or you want to get into competitive Pokemon, or you are playing competitive Pokemon, but you just want a new deck to play around with, I very literally could not recommend this product any more highly. Go and buy it now. It's phenomenal. There we go. I think that was pretty clear. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it's over to you guys. What do you think of these League Battle decks? Which ones have you picked up? How do you think this one stacks up to the previous ones? Let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and card games and Pokemon card games, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, chat with us about Pokemon or anything else, have an awful lot of fun. And get shout-outs on the channel, of course, like the lovely Dark1313, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and seems to be a very lovely person indeed. So thank you very much for the support and for being a very lovely person. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.